Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
I'm Charlotte Bailey, and I live here south of Big Fork on Bustic Lake. And I have lots of hobbies. I like to quilt, and I like to paint, and I do stained glass. This is called a memory quilt. And I lost my husband and daughter the same year. So I took all of their t-shirts, most of this is t-shirts, and you have to put a webbing on the back so it makes them lie flat. And then I put it on, I got another sheet, and then I sewed them all together, and then I stitched around them. So it's memories that I still appreciate having. But like my husband had a hole-in-one at the golf course out here, so he had a shirt with that on. That's a date on there, and so it's nice to remember them by. Okay, this is called a calendar quilt. And each month there was a certain square that we done. Sometimes it takes 2 squares to make it, or whatever, but it has lots of color on it. And when you start a quilt, you should kind of figure out where the colors go to make it pretty all over. You know, if you're going to have, this is all little pieces, but I've included the red in with everything and the navy blue pretty much in all of them. So it all looks nice and blends together. This Hawaiian quilt here, I think it took me from 1991 to 1999. And we used to go over to Hawaii every time Ron couldn't haul wood. So it went back and forth through them years in the plane with me because I was working on the top all the time. Well, then when I got the filler in it and started quilting, I didn't take it because it was too big and too heavy, so I had to finish it in Minnesota here. So this is the Royal Hawaiian Symbols. That's the pattern on it. And it came from an older Hawaiian lady over in Hawaii. She gave it to a friend, and the friend gave it to me. So, and you cut this upper piece, that's all the red. You fold it in quarter, and then you cut it all together, and it's all alike then. And then you have to put it out on this bottom and baste it all around so it's equal. And then you have to turn this all under and then do your finished stitch on that. And then after you do that, then you quilt it. And you always go around your design. This you just figure out yourself and try to keep it 1/2 inch, or some have big, but the closer together, I think the better it looks. So you just keep going around and figure out how you can keep it, you know, 1/2 inch apart. This quilt here is made entirely of feed sacks and flour sacks. And I was down to a sale in southern Minnesota that had a bunch of feed sacks for sale. So I picked out all the blue ones I could, because then I could use the blue. You know, you have to have enough like them, you know, they're about that high and that wide. And we always used to fight over them. I lived on a farm because we got new blouses. We'd make new blouses with them. And so, of course, we had to take turns, you know, and that's how I learned to sew, because they were only so wide, and maybe your pattern wasn't quite that wide, so you pieced it under the arms with an extra piece that was left. And that's how I learned to sew. I really appreciated doing it because I got to sew pretty good. This is all different pieces in here too. And dressed in plate is the pattern. And so we learned to do the star too, you know, how to do that. And then we could just put other stuff with it, you know, in our quilt. So they all turned out different. And it's kind of nice if you do try the same type of quilt, although nobody else had feed sacks like I did. On the back are feed sacks too. I put it all with feed sacks on. I had to get enough of each material. I had to piece it here and then use this other on the other end, but it kind of matches with the blue, you know. Well, I think they used whatever they had. And, you know, the flour sacks they made sheets out of, underwear sometimes. Whatever they had, they just used, and it worked for them, you know, because material was high, and then we didn't get to town much, you know. This was all 100% cotton, even in the feed sacks. It's a little heavier, but it's not scratchy, because we had blouses, and we wouldn't have had them if it was scratchy. So I wished I'd saved a blouse that I had. First thing we do is wash them to get so it doesn't shrink up after you get it in the quilt. So when husbands used to say when they heard the washing machine going when they come home from town, they knew they got some more material.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.